Hi. Today on the Modern Musicking Show, I sit down with Roger Dannenburg, whose brain is way bigger than mine. He's in computer science and music. We have another wonderful student showcase, a fantastic music history moment, and you'll hear my final performance with my singing of Caro Mio Ben, taught by Robbie Rosso. We hope you enjoy it. Today on Jacob Random Holmes, featuring Jacob Randall Holmes. You're walking through the woods and you find a berry. Is it poisonous? Hey, on today's deep dive, we have one of my favorite people on campus. This is Roger Dannenburg, and he's super cool for lots of reasons that you're about to find out about. Thank you so much for sitting down to talk with us, Roger.
Sure.
So, what's your official job here? There's so many cool things I want to talk to you about, but let's start with what's your official job at Carnegie Mellon is.
Officially, I'm a professor of computer science. I teach computer science classes, I advise grad students, and I do research.
And what research? What kind of research? Research into what?
Computer music.
Oh, okay. So now we've figured out the intersection right out of the gate. And how long have you been here at Carnegie Mellon?
That's a good question. I came in 1979 as
gosh.
a grad student, and I finished in 1982 and was hired as, I think you would call it a postdoc position now, and eventually, not long after that, joined the faculty, and I was here as, kind of went through the ranks. I spent a lot of time here as a research scientist, and now a lot of time as a professor.
And was it always the intersection of music and computers? Was that kind of always your
Almost.
MO?
I actually, my PhD is in the operating systems and security area, and at the time, that's what I thought I was going to do in life, was be a kind of mainstream operating systems, computer science research person, and play and write music on the side. And then after I finished my PhD, after kind of holding back all of my interest in computers and music and thoughts about that, I felt like, okay, now I have a little time. I can actually take some time to pursue some of these music ideas. And pretty soon I found myself thinking about that all the time, and it just became clear to me that that's what my passion was. And I was never going to be a great operating systems researcher if I was thinking about music all the time.
Right.
Plus, I got a lot of encouragement from here, from CMU and the department, to just do whatever you want to do, but just do a good job. And
did you have training in music at the college level as well? Did you get what was your undergrad in? Was it in music as well, or
no,
you just sort of...
Undergrad, I was an electrical engineer.
Okay.
So I have a BS in electrical engineering, but I studied mostly computer science. But starting with really first semester as a freshman, I think I took at least one music course every semester and studied trumpet privately, and played in at least one ensemble, if not more. So that doesn't make you doing that for 4 years doesn't make you a music major.
Sure.
But then that was followed by another, 5 or 6 years of graduate school.
Sure.
And so, all added up, I think I've sort of more or less got the equivalent of at least an undergraduate degree in music. But it was never an official degree. It was just
Right.
a lot of study.
Well, you're great. I mean, you're a super fine trumpet player, and you play quite a bit now still.
Yeah.
So the research that you do that intersects music and computers, I mean, you're responsible for a couple of things that many of our the folks that are watching this are familiar with. So Audacity is one, Smart Music is another. So what was curious to you about how the two things interacted that led to these things, or in what way did you kind of follow your nose through this?
I didn't really set out to put two things together, or it never really occurred to me that that's what I was doing. It's just that growing up, I was good at math and interested in engineering, and all this computing stuff was really interesting to me, just like music was. And so I was pursuing both of these, and then I would, when I saw music problems, I thought it was just kind of very natural to me to think of, oh, well, you could use computing to do this, or you could not only build a synthesizer with my electronics knowledge, but we could get a computer to control it and make it play music in some interesting way. And so I was always kind of thinking about how computers could be applied to music problems.
And so what are you curious about now, or what's next? I mean, you don't have to, I'm not asking you to divulge any huge trade secret-y things, but I mean, where do you see it going? How do you see this progressing?
Yeah, lately I've been doing a lot of work on getting computers to write music.
So would that be AI, or what's the...
Yeah, it's AI and machine learning,
Okay.
and so it's kind of applied AI, applied machine learning for music composition. And that's got me thinking a lot about composition, and I'm also a composer, so I get to see it from the human side, and I also get to see how difficult it is when you try to formalize what you're doing, or what you would like a computer to do for you. And so the thing I've been thinking about most is what really makes music music. And I think there's a tendency, especially in the research world, to think music is about a bunch of notes. And my latest thinking is that that's maybe the least important thing, that the important thing is the way we recognize patterns, the way we anticipate things, and the way our anticipations are either confirmed or denied, and we get surprised. And those things are all organized in time, and composers manipulate our perceptions and all of that stuff. But it's like, I think what's happening in our heads, in the listener's head, is just very abstract. And we get distracted because we see on the surface, we see notes and rhythms, and we think that's what the music is. But I think it's really deeper, and that's something I'm very interested in studying more and trying to understand.
Are there other things that you're excited about that are on the horizon, or things that you kind of can't wait until X happens, or you're looking down the road and you see, boy, this is going to be a really cool thing? Or what should we be, if I'm interested in this intersection, what should I be paying attention to? Or...
Yeah, it's pretty wide open, and it's kind of hard to say, what it's going to be. One thing that I think is, something that sort of hasn't happened yet, and it's got to happen sometime, is the whole area of music production. So traditionally, we used to think of composer writes music, so that's composition. People perform music, that's music performance. And we've kind of ignored, in the world we have today, these performers get recorded, and we rarely actually hear, at least certainly in the popular world, we never really hear anything that was performed live. We hear multiple layers of tracks, and all of those tracks were manipulated by a producer and selected by a producer and mixed and all of this stuff. And so there's that's a totally hand manual operation, and it's a very creative process. I think more now than ever before, because computers can allow people to manipulate audio in so many ways. So we have this whole area of production that's not really composition, it's not performance. So I think of that as kind of the third big chunk of music creation, and automating that, or automating pieces of that, and using automation to support even more creative production, I think are really big areas for the future.
Well, this is awesome. Thank you so much for sitting down and talk to us. Roger Dannenburg, brain way bigger than mine. Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Lance Learns to Play.
All right, so today on Lance Learns to Play, this is our next segment where I'm supposedly going to learn Caro mio ben, Robbie Rossi, Robbie, Ro,
Raso.
Robbie, Ra. So I learned to roll my R's last. Robbie, Raso.
Close.
No? What's the matter over there? Robbie Raso is going to teach me Caro mio ben. Yeah? And so today, so far I've learned to breathe, and I learned to, I learned the diction, the words, and I learned what a diphthong is.
Yeah.
And now I'm supposedly going to put notes to the rhythm. We think.
All right. Yeah. And so one thing a coach will do when they're playing piano with you, you'll try to breathe together before you come in. So for here, let's say before your entrances, try to get a good breath in a beat before.
Okay. 2.
Yes.
I see.
Okay.
Well, should I do this so I can see you a little better?
If you want.
Or-
Yeah. Do you need me to play you anything first, or do you just want to say?
Don't spoil the surprise.
All right. Okay. So I also hope I don't mess this up. Here we go. Okay.
Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te l'ogni sei il cor. Caro mio ben, senza di te languisce il cor. Huh?
Good. Yeah.
Not so
pretty
bad.
good,
We didn't
yeah.
have to stop. I didn't get
That was
lost.
really good. Yeah.
So now what? What would you? So if we went from coach to teacher, what would you tell me, teacher or coach? You tell me.
I think we could go over the diphthongs again, but that's
Those
probably
are-
the hardest part of this.
So the diphthongs were my
yeah.
greatest area for improvement.
Yeah.
I see. But what about my my pronunciation?
I thought it was mostly pretty good.
How about my
Mostly pretty
pitch?
good. Yeah, that was good.
What about my tone?
I just thought it was a pretty good.
You were a little
sounded
surprised,
relaxed.
weren't you?
Yeah.
I was a little surprised as well.
Yeah, it sounded relaxed. Nah, which was good.
Fantastic. Robbie, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sophie Carpenter. I'm a vocal performance major, and today I will talk to you about Libby Larsen. She's a composer that was born in Delaware, and she is one of my favorite composers. I'm actually doing 3 of her songs on my junior recital. She's an incredible composer with a brilliant spirit, and I got to perform with her where she gave me a lot of insight and tips to how to compose and how to really take in all of the information that you have from a composer's standpoint and produce it in music.
maison. Les ennemis sont tout pris jusqu'à notre petit lit. Ils ont brûlé l'école et notre maître aussi. Ils ont brûlé l'église et Monsieur Jésus-Christ. Et le vieux pauvre qui n'a pas pu s'en aller. Nous n'avons plus de maison. Les ennemis sont tout pris. Vont avoir eu de ça. Qu'est-ce que l'on va faire? Noël, petit Noël, n'allez pas chez eux, n'allez plus jamais chez eux, bénissez-les. Vengez les enfants de France, les petits Belges, les petits Serbes, les petits Polonais aussi. Si nous en oublions, pardonnez-nous. Noël, Noël, surtout pas de joujou. Tâchez de nous redonner le pain quotidien. Nous n'avons plus de maison. Les ennemis sont tout pris jusqu'à notre petit lit. Ils ont brûlé l'école et notre maître aussi. Ils ont brûlé l'église et Monsieur Jésus-Christ. Et le vieux pauvre qui n'a pas pu s'en aller. Noël, écoutez-nous. Nous n'avons plus de petits sabots. Mais donne la victoire aux enfants de France.
Get it? It's like a play on a pun. Ivan, take your pick. If you're worried about me feeling embarrassed, you're in the wrong room.
Okay. All right. So I'll just.
It's not a problem.
So it's gonna be like this.
Tell me when you're. He also has this encyclopedic knowledge of barbecue joints. I used to eat meat. I don't eat meat anymore. But I'd be on the road on more than one occasion. The tuba player and I would travel together, and so we'd be like, "I'm hungry. We took barbecue." So he'd call Fred, and we'd be like, he'd go, "Okay, where are you?" And we'd say, "We're in North Carolina on I-95 at mile marker whatever." And he goes, "All right, in 14 miles, you're gonna see an exit. You won't see it from the road, but get off, and it'll pull up 30 miles, and it'll be on the right. And there you want to get the burnt ends and the thing and the whatever." And like the first time I was like, yeah. By the third time I was like,
Call him up.
call Fred.
That's hilarious.
I just didn't know it was possible. This one time this waitress came to get his plate and he kind of just looked at her. And she goes, I'll leave that for you. He goes, "I figured you would." Hey, thanks for watching the show. If you want to reach us with questions or comments, you can figure out all the ways to do that by clicking on any of those links in wherever you're watching this thing. We've had a great time putting these together and hope you find them useful as well. Thanks for watching.